the Titanic left, it was declared the unsinkable ship. If you do that, Allah will sink it. Just fight it. You can't do that. When they made the Challenger, now you know what Challenger mean in Arabic? Mutahaddi. It's a very bad word. Who are they challenging? They're sending it off into space. Who are you challenging? Challenging who? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Well, look what happened. He'll just blow you up. That's what Allah will do. Literally just blow you up. And then they say, oh, it's a tragedy. The 7th grade teacher riding on raw technology. They put a 7th grade teacher into raw technology, thinking that they're قادرين عليها حتى ظن أهلها أنهم قادرون عليها. They thought the people, they'll become so deluded. Allah says in Surah Yunus, they will become so deluded that they think they're all powerful over the earth. Right, so they take off on the Challenger. Allah, you want to call it Challenger? We'll see how long the challenge lasts.
So as we start to look into the numerology, what we're looking at is a tree of life. And this is something that the magicians use, and what I believe to be a map of the extra dimension. So as you're looking into this map, there are 10 spots on it, and they are called the Sephiroth. And within these Sephiroth, you have your Trinity at the top. So this is the all, the one, looking at itself and creating a reflection. You go up from the bottom up to the top, you have 10 points. 10 being God, 10 being the hermaphroditic symbol, 1 and 0. So as you come up to 10, that is their God, that is 10, that is the hermaphrodite. But if you stop at 9 and you skip to 11, skipping God, then you are a Luciferian. Because 11 is the number of the magician, it's the one step above. Once you have accomplished the tree of life, you are now the magician, you are one above 10. But they're doing it by skipping God. That's the symbolism of 9/11. As you come up to 10, that is their God, that is 10, that is the hermaphrodite. But if you stop at 9 and you skip to 11, skipping God, then you are a Luciferian. Because 11 is the number of the magician, it's the one step above. Once you have accomplished the tree of life, you are now the magician, you are one above 10. But they're doing it by skipping God. That's the symbolism of 9/11.
It is a big idea, a new world order.
Anniversary of the 9/11 attack on the World Trade Center, George Bush asked for an $87 billion increase in military spending.
In 1904, Crowley would receive the Book of the Law soon after meditating in the King's Chamber of the Great Pyramid. He claimed he had been contacted by a being called Aiwas. Crowley would also use this symbol in his work. Some of its meanings are said to include the reference to the number 77 in Hebrew and a connection to the god Pan. Crowley made this drawing of a non-human intelligence he saw during a ritual. The much overlooked theory has been put forward on the internet that when we are looking at George W. Bush, we are actually seeing Aleister Crowley's grandson. I have suggested that this video footage of George W. Bush reading the pet goat, coinciding with the start of the 9/11 mega ritual, is in fact a dedication of the 9/11 mega ritual to the great god Pan by Aleister Crowley's grandson. again we see the Emerald City connected to New York. On arriving at the end of the yellow brick road, Dorothy and her companions go through the circular portal. Through the door, we see 3 pyramids. Behind the pyramid shape, in between the pyramid pillars of the World Trade Center, we see the sphere, the representation of the Kaaba. The inhabitants of Oz dance around the sphere in ritualistic fashion. Fashioned in giant letters over the dome of the sphere, we see the word Oz. Oz, symbols of Pan and Awaz, seen smack at the heart where the new Aeon was ushered in and where the Stargate was opened. Between the Twin Towers is called the spherical Qiyada. It was made by artist Fritz Koenig and was nicknamed the Sphere. We see that Koenig made this thing in Bavaria, the same place where the Illuminati was founded. The most interesting fact about the placement of the sphere at the World Trade Center Plaza has to be that architect and designer of the World Trade Center, Minoru Yamasaki, intended the plaza itself to be a representation of the Grand Mosque of Mecca, the sphere in particular taking the place of the Kaaba.
To begin with, the significance of 911. What you have to understand, and what we are trying to explain, is that when dealing with extra dimensions, or when dealing with beings from extra dimensions like jinn, for example, or when dealing with the Illuminati, or the elite, or people that follow a certain type of esoteric agenda, although me and you communicate through words and letters, they have chosen a different type of language. And this is a cross-boundary type of language. This is a language that goes across the boundaries, understood by all. And this is the language of numbers and shapes. And this is why whenever you do research about these groups, you'll find out that they practice something called sacred numerology and sacred geometry. What does this mean? It means that each number is given a meaning. Each shape is given a meaning. A meaning is communicated whenever a shape is presented or a number is presented by these specific groups. I'm not talking about random people or random groups. We're talking about specific groups that follow this type of agenda. When numbers are used, it signifies a certain type of meaning. When shapes are used, the same is followed. So, in their definition, in the numerological sense, 10 is the Alpha and the Omega, or the God. 11 is a step above God. 101 is a step above God. 911, or 911, is the skipping of God. It is the ultimate challenge. It is going from number 9, which has a specific meaning, to number 11, without going through 10. It's skipping God. So it's no coincidence that this event that we call 911 today took place on 911. It is the ultimate challenge. So now that we understood what 911 means, what other practice do we do that deals with 911? Calling a number whenever you are in an emergency. Now, creating an institution that helps people whenever they are in need of help and whenever they are experiencing an emergency is fine. There's nothing against it. There's no religion, there's no logical person on earth that will tell you this is wrong. But when you understand how sinister the elite are and the way they work on a level that's way beyond what you think. So the fact that when you're experiencing an emergency or when you are in need of help, you have to pick up a phone and dial 911, which is the ultimate numerological definition of skipping God, then you'll understand how these people work.